The aliens laughed at humans again. Ambassador Ju Park tried to stay calm as he walked through the big alien meeting place. The insect-like aliens whispered and clicked when they saw him. "Look, humans again," one alien said to another. "How cute that they keep trying." Juwoo's face stayed calm, but inside he felt angry. 3 years had passed since Earth met aliens, and things were getting worse. The Galactic Confederation had 27 different alien groups. All of them had traveled in space for hundreds of years. They saw humans as simple and not important. Admiral Daehyun Kim stood next to Juwoo. He was the leader of Earth's space defense. His back was straight, and his face showed no emotion. "I won't let them talk down to us again," Daehyun said quietly. "We need to be patient," Juwoo reminded him. "We need their help for our Mars base." They'd waited for a long time. Finally, their meeting host arrived. Director Molves was a strange blob-like alien who moved like thick water. The alien's body had no solid shape. "My Earth friends, welcome." Molves's voice sounded fake-friendly. "Do you need more time for your safety rules? Or maybe help with your slow spaceships?" Juwoo took a deep breath. Every meeting was the same. The aliens treated human concerns as small problems. They called human requests too early. They questioned everything humans discovered or learned. During the meeting, Juwoo mentioned some strange energy readings near Saturn. When he showed the data, Director Molves's body shook in a way that meant laughter. "Your tools must be broken," Molves said. "There's nothing important out by Saturn." The meeting ended badly. Humans got nothing they asked for. The aliens promised to think about helping later. On the trip back to Earth, Admiral Daehyun stood alone in his room. His face showed he had made an important decision. He took out a special communication device that no alien could track. He pressed his thumb on the screen, and it lit up with a secure connection. "This is Admiral Kim," he said in a firm voice. "Start Protocol Olympus." I repeat, Protocol Olympus is now active. The people listening on the other end didn't ask questions. They simply said, "Understood, Admiral. Protocol Olympus is now active." Daehyun put the device away and looked out the window at the stars. For 20 years, humans had prepared in secret. While the aliens watched Earth and laughed, humans had built something that would change everything. "Let them mock us now," he whispered to himself. "Soon they'll understand." Back on Earth, deep underground, computers began working. Secret messages went out to hidden bases across the solar system. In the rings of Saturn, where the aliens said nothing existed, lights began to turn on inside an asteroid that was not really an asteroid. The humans had fooled everyone. And now, after years of planning and building in secret, it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. 20 years before the aliens officially met humans, Dr. Gunjin Cho sat alone in her small lab. It was 3 in the morning when her computer made a strange sound. She had been looking for radio signals from space, hoping to find alien life. "That's not a natural pattern," she whispered, looking at the screen. The signal repeated exactly the same way over and over. Something intelligent had made it. Gunjin called her boss right away. Within days, government agents came to her lab. Within weeks, world leaders met in secret. "We are being watched," the President of the United States told the other world leaders. "We need to prepare, but we must do it in secret." For the first time ever, all countries on Earth worked together on one big project. They called it Project Olympus. They chose Saturn's rings as the perfect hiding place. The rings had thousands of ice chunks and rocks. No one would notice if one big asteroid was actually hollow inside. Tien Choi was one of the first engineers picked for the project. A government agent came to his apartment one night. "We need your skills," the agent said, "but no one can know where you're going." "What about my family?" Taehyun asked. "They will be told you died in an accident," the agent explained. "But really, you'll be building humanity's greatest project." Taehyun thought about it for only a minute before he agreed. Like him, thousands of Earth's smartest people made the same choice. Doctors, engineers, soldiers, farmers, teachers, they all died in fake accidents. Then they went to work inside the asteroid. Year after year, they dug deeper into the rock. They built living spaces, farms, factories, and labs. They created a small city inside the asteroid. They called it Olympus Station. 50,000 people lived there in secret. They had children who were born in space and never saw Earth. Commander Minjae Kang walked through the station, checking the defense systems. She had been an astrophysicist on Earth. Now she led the station's protection team. For 15 years, she had worked on special weapons. The aliens all think the same way, she told her team during training. Each alien species follows its own science rules, but they don't mix ideas like we do. Humans connect different ideas. We think around corners. That will surprise them. The aliens never found Olympus Station. Humans used special shields that bent light and absorbed radar. The station looked like just another boring rock in Saturn's rings. Inside the main control room, Minji watched screens showing Ambassador Juwu and Admiral Daehyun being mocked by the aliens. Her team felt angry seeing how the aliens treated humans. Then, a message from Admiral Daehyun appeared on their main screen. Protocol Olympus is now active. The room went quiet. Then people began moving quickly to their stations. This was the moment they had prepared for all these years. Minjae stood tall and straightened her uniform. She looked at her team and spoke clearly. Start the emergence protocols. Olympus Station is going public. Across the station, alarms sounded. People rushed to their positions. Giant engines, hidden for 20 years, began to warm up. In the ship bays, pilots ran to their advanced spacecraft. The time for hiding was over. Humanity's secret weapon was about to show itself to the galaxy. The red alarm lights flashed across Mars colony. People ran to safety bunkers as the first bombs hit. No one had expected an attack. "What's happening?" asked a scared colonist. Colony Director Junho Lee looked at his screen. "Alien ships. They're attacking us." The aliens called themselves the Purifiers. They were a small group that broke away from the Galactic Confederation. They believed humans should stay on Earth only. Seeing humans on Mars made them angry. "Humans are spreading like a disease," the Purifier leader told his soldiers. "We must stop them now." The Mars colony had 40,000 people. Most were families who came to build a new life. They had farms under glass domes and small factories. They had schools and hospitals, but they had very few weapons. The emergency call went out to Earth and to the Alien Confederation headquarters. On Earth, Emergency Coordinator Gina Lee called an urgent meeting. The alien representative joined by video call. "Our Mars colony is under attack. We need help," Gina said. The alien, with big bug-like eyes, seemed bored. "We can send ships to look at the situation in about 3 weeks." 3 weeks. Gina hit the table with her fist. 40,000 civilians are being attacked right now. The alien blinked slowly. "Perhaps you should have built better defenses before trying to live on Mars." Gina looked at the other humans in the room. They all knew Mars colony couldn't last 3 weeks, maybe not even 3 days. At that moment, Admiral Daehyun made his decision. "Get me a secure line to Olympus Station," he ordered. Far away near Saturn, Olympus Station received the message. Commander Minjae gave the order everyone had trained for. "Start the engines. Open the ship bays. We are going to Mars." The giant engines on Olympus Station fired up. The fake asteroid covering fell away in pieces. For the first time in 20 years, the true Olympus Station was visible. A massive 5-kilometer space city built by humans in secret. Hundreds of hangar doors opened along its sides. Ships flew out, forming attack groups. These ships were nothing like the small, slow ships humans had shown to the aliens before. Captain Hyunwoo Ryu sat in the command chair of the lead ship, the Thunderbolt. "All ships report ready," his officer said. Then let's save Mars, Hyunwoo replied. The ships jumped to light speed using technology the aliens thought humans didn't have. The trip to Mars took hours instead of months. When they arrived, the scene was bad. 3 large purifier ships were shooting at the Mars domes. Parts of the colony were already on fire. The colonists were sending desperate messages. "This is Captain Ryu of Earth Defense Force," Hyunwoo broadcast to the alien ships. "Stop your attack immediately." The purifier ships turned toward the human fleet. They fired their weapons at the Thunderbolt, but nothing happened. The shots hit a shield that absorbed all the energy. "Impossible," the purifier commander said. "Their ships should be destroyed." "Show them what we can really do," Captain Hyunwoo ordered. The Thunderbolt fired a single shot. The energy beam cut through the purifier ship's shields like they weren't there. The alien ship's engines died. The other purifier ships attacked harder, but more human ships arrived. The battle was quick. The human ships moved in ways the aliens had never seen. Their weapons worked in ways alien science said was impossible. In just 1 hour, the purifier ships were either captured or destroyed. From a safe distance, Confederation observation ships watched in shock. They had come to see humans lose another colony. Instead, they saw human ships defeat enemies that would have troubled even the Confederation's best warships. "What have the humans been hiding?" an alien observer asked. No one had an answer. The big room was filled with angry aliens. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and some didn't look like anything humans had seen before. High Counselor Drixel, the leader of the Galactic Confederation, moved his 8 tentacles in angry motions. "Explain yourselves immediately," Drixel demanded. His voice boomed through the room. "You hid an entire space city. You built advanced ships in secret." Admiral Dayan stood in front of the alien leaders. He wasn't scared. He wasn't nervous. He looked calm and confident. "For 20 years, you watched our planet," Admiral Dayan said. "You judged us as too simple and primitive. You wouldn't let us join your science teams or defense groups. Did you think we wouldn't notice your spy satellites? Did you think we would just sit and wait for you to accept us?" The aliens looked at each other. Some made angry noises. Others looked worried. "You lied to us," said a tall, thin alien with blue skin. "No," Admiral Dayan replied. "We just didn't tell you everything. The same way you didn't tell us everything." Professor Sung Ho-yoon stepped forward. He was the lead scientist from Olympus Station. He touched a small device on his wrist, and suddenly the room filled with 3D images showing Olympus Station. "While you refused to answer our questions, we found our own answers," Sung-ho said. The 3D tour showed the aliens everything. They saw farms growing food inside the space station. They saw power systems that made energy in new ways. They saw factories that built things the aliens thought were impossible. "This can't be real," said an insect-like alien scientist. "I assure you, it is," Sung-ho replied. "We can arrange visits if you wish to see it with your own eyes, or sensing organs." The alien leaders whispered to each other. Some looked angry. Some looked impressed. All looked surprised. Admiral Dayan touched another button. New 3D images appeared, showing other space stations hidden in different places in the solar system. "Olympus is just one of several such stations," he said. "Humans have always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." A 6-armed alien scientist studied the details of the human ships. She looked at the engine designs and weapon systems with all 4 of her eyes wide open. "This propulsion system, it combines ideas from 3 different science paths," she said. "According to our understanding, this shouldn't work at all." Professor Sung-ho smiled. "Yet it does work. Humans are good at connecting ideas that others miss." The 6-armed scientist looked at her fellow aliens. They mixed magnetic field theory with quantum tunneling and gravity manipulation. No single species in the Confederation has done this before. The meeting lasted many hours. The aliens asked hundreds of questions. Slowly, their attitude changed. The mockery was gone. The dismissal was gone. Now they looked at the humans with new eyes. At the end of the summit, High Counselor Xerxel's tentacles were calm. He stood tall and addressed the humans directly. "It seems the Confederation has underestimated humanity's potential," he admitted. "This was a significant error on our part." Admiral Dahian nodded. "Yes, it was." "What do humans want now?" Xerxel asked. "Revenge for our treatment?" "No," Admiral Dahian said. "We want what we always wanted, to be treated as equals, to learn from you, and for you to learn from us." As the meeting ended, aliens who had laughed at humans just days before now looked at them with new respect, and maybe a little fear. What humans had done in secret had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The new Earth embassy shone under the three suns of the Confederation capital world. Just 1 year had passed since humans revealed Olympus Station, but everything had changed. Ambassador Juwu Park walked through the main hall of the embassy. Aliens of different shapes and sizes moved respectfully out of his way. No one laughed at humans anymore. "High Representative Park, your meeting starts in 5 minutes, his assistant said. Juwu nodded. He still found his new title strange. High Representative was a rank only given to the most respected members of the Confederation. In the large meeting room, alien leaders waited. Some floated in the air. Some sat in special chairs made for their bodies. All watched Juwu with respect as he entered. "The human-led research team has made another breakthrough," Juwu told them. "The new medical tool can heal injuries for all known species." The aliens looked impressed. Working together with humans had brought more progress in 1 year than they had seen in 20 years before. Back in the solar system, Olympus Station had changed too. The once secret base was now the busiest place in human space. Ships from many alien worlds came and went all day. In one lab, Dr. Jihai Quan worked side by side with Fort, a blue-skinned alien scientist with 4 arms. "The way humans solve problems is different," Vort said as they tested a new device. "Your minds jump from one idea to another in ways we don't." Jihai smiled. "We make connections that might seem strange at first. It would take my people centuries to think the way you do," Vort admitted. "Working together, we can do amazing things." On Mars, the colony that was once attacked had been rebuilt bigger and better. New domes with alien plants inside stood next to human farms. The colony hosted the first big cultural event between species. Inside the main dome, alien visitors tried human food, listened to human music, and looked at human art. Humans learned alien songs and games. "I never thought I'd see a day like this," said Juno, the Mars colony director, watching alien children play with human children. On Olympus Station's main deck, Admiral Dahian stood looking out the big window. His hair had more gray now, and he was thinking about retirement. The view outside showed ships from many worlds docking at the station. Commander Minja walked up beside him. "Quite a view, isn't it?" she asked. "Yes," Dahian agreed. "Hard to believe it's only been a year." "Did you ever think we would end up here when we started Project Olympus?" Minja asked. Dahian thought about it. "I just hoped we would survive if things went badly," he admitted. "This is much better than survival." Below them, in the central open area of the station, children played. Human children born on Olympus ran alongside the children of alien diplomats and scientists. Their different voices and laughs filled the air. The station that had once been humanity's biggest secret was now the place where humans and aliens came together. It was a bridge between different worlds. One small alien child fell while playing. A human girl helped her up. The alien child made a happy singing sound that meant thank you in her language. The human girl smiled. Daehyun watched this simple moment and felt proud. Humans were no longer mocked or treated as less important. They had earned something better than just respect. They were now seen as special members of the galactic family, partners who brought new ideas that made life better for everyone. They dug deeper into the palace's security logs, which Era could access through her royal credentials. A pattern began to emerge. Each time the Earth delegation made progress in negotiations, small problems would arise. Meeting rooms changed at the last minute. Translation devices malfunctioned. And always, Lord Dad was nearby. He's been sabotaging the talks from the beginning, Taiwan realized. But why? Era's skin rippled with dark colors of realization. He's been blocking interstellar relations for decades, she explained. Not just with humans, but with the Centauri Coalition and the Rigel Alliance as well. He believes outside influence will destroy our culture. She brought up Lord Day's personal history, born during a time when Lumi had briefly opened its borders, only to face a cultural crisis as foreign ideas challenged traditional Lumi ways. He lost his family in the brief war that followed, Era said softly. He's dedicated his life to ensuring Lumi remains pure of outside influence. Cultures don't survive by isolation but by adaptation, Taiwan argued. On Earth, the societies that thrived were those that exchanged ideas with others. Those that closed themselves off eventually stagnated or were left behind. They worked through the night, gathering evidence from the palace systems. By morning, they had compiled a damning case against Lord Da. Records of his communications with Vex agents, evidence of tampered security logs, and most damning of all, a personal journal outlining his plan to frame the Earth delegation and sever all diplomatic ties. This is enough, Taiwan said, reviewing their findings. We need to get this to your father. Era nodded, but before she could respond, alarms blared throughout the temple. Outside, the whine of approaching ships filled the air. Imperial forces, she said, checking the sensors. They found us. Taiwan looked out the ancient window to see 5 Lumi military vessels landing outside the temple. Dozens of armed guards poured out, surrounding the building. How? This place is supposed to be sanctuary, he said. Era's expression was grim. They can't enter without permission from a temple keeper, but they can prevent us from leaving. A voice boomed across the temple grounds. Princess Era and Captain Kim, by order of the High Council, you are commanded to surrender yourselves. The temple keepers have granted us permission to enter in 1 hour if you do not comply. Taiwan looked at the evidence they had gathered, then at Era. We could transmit this to multiple sources. Your father, my superiors, even the public information networks. It wouldn't be enough, Era replied. Dai would claim it was fabricated. We need to present this in person, with the proper protocols, before the full council where he can't control the narrative. The Imperial forces were setting up a perimeter, cutting off all escape routes. Their situation seemed hopeless. Era moved to stand before an ancient Lumi symbol etched into the temple wall, a spiral that To-One had noticed represented truth in Lumi culture. There is another way, she said quietly. As a royal betrothed, you have the right to invoke the ceremony of truth. It's an ancient protocol that even Lord Da can't override. It would force a public hearing before the Emperor himself. But we would have to surrender ourselves first, Taiwan noted. How can we be sure they'll follow the proper protocols? Era turned to face him, her skin glowing with a new color Taiwan had never seen before, a deep, resonant purple that seemed to emanate from within. Because I will declare my intent to complete the marriage ceremony, she said. That changes everything. An attack on a royal wedding would be sacrilege. Taiwan stared at her in shock. Era, you can't sacrifice yourself like this. The engagement was an accident. Her multiple pupils fixed on him with intense focus. I believe in what you represent, Taiwan. Perhaps this accidental engagement wasn't such an accident after all. She took his hand, her skin warming against his. The old stories say that fate often works through seeming accidents. Maybe there is a reason you place your hand over your heart that night. Outside, the Imperial forces began their final preparations to storm the temple. The Grand Imperial Hall of Justice glowed with soft blue light. Hundreds of Lumi nobles and officials filled the curved rows of seats that rose like waves around the central speaking platform. The Emperor sat on an elevated crystal throne, his skin a steady, royal purple that showed no emotion. Lord Dai stood in the defendant's position, his skin pale with barely controlled anger. Taduan stood at the center of the hall, the evidence display hovering beside him. Princess Era stood at his side, her royal status ensuring this hearing would follow ancient rules that even the emperor's advisor could not manipulate. They dug deeper into the palace's security logs, which Era could access through her royal credentials. A pattern began to emerge. Each time the Earth delegation made progress in negotiations, small problems would arise. Meeting rooms changed at the last minute. Translation devices malfunctioned. And always, Lord Dad was nearby. He's been sabotaging the talks from the beginning, Ta-One realized. But why? Era's skin rippled with dark colors of realization. He's been blocking interstellar relations for decades, she explained. Not just with humans, but with the Centauri Coalition and the Rigel Alliance as well. He believes outside influence will destroy our culture. She brought up Lord Day's personal history. Born during a time when Lumi had briefly opened its borders, only to face a cultural crisis as foreign ideas challenged traditional Lumi ways. He lost his family in the brief war that followed. Era said softly. He's dedicated his life to ensuring Lumi remains pure of outside influence. Cultures don't survive by isolation but by adaptation, Ta-One argued. On Earth, the societies that thrived were those that exchanged ideas with others. Those that closed themselves off eventually stagnated or were left behind. They worked through the night, gathering evidence from the palace systems. By morning, they had compiled a damning case against Lord Da. Records of his communications with Vex agents, evidence of tampered security logs, and most damning of all, a personal journal outlining his plan to fring the Earth delegation and sever all diplomatic ties. This is enough, Ta-One said, reviewing their findings. We need to get this to your father. Era nodded, but before she could respond, alarms blared throughout the temple. Outside, the whine of approaching ships filled the air. Imperial forces, she said, checking the sensors. They found us. Ta-One looked out the ancient window to see 5 Lumi military vessels landing outside the temple. Dozens of armed guards poured out, surrounding the building. How? This place is supposed to be sanctuary, he said. Era's expression was grim. They can't enter without permission from a temple keeper, but they can prevent us from leaving. A voice boomed across the temple grounds. Princess Era and Captain Kim, by order of the High Council, you are commanded to surrender yourselves. The temple keepers have granted us permission to enter in 1 hour if you do not comply. Ta-One looked at the evidence they had gathered, then at Era. We could transmit this to multiple sources, your father, my superiors, even the public information networks. It wouldn't be enough, Era replied. Dad would claim it was fabricated. We need to present this in person, with the proper protocols, before the full council where he can't control the narrative. The Imperial forces were setting up a perimeter, cutting off all escape routes. Their situation seemed hopeless. Era moved to stand before an ancient Lumi symbol etched into the temple wall. A spiral that Ta-One had noticed represented truth in Lumi culture. There is another way, she said quietly. As a royal betrothed, you have the right to invoke the ceremony of truth. It's an ancient protocol that even Lord Da can't override. It would force a public hearing before the emperor himself. But we would have to surrender ourselves first, Ta-One noted. How can we be sure they'll follow the proper protocols? Era turned to face him, her skin glowing with a new color Ta-One had never seen before, a deep, resonant purple that seemed to emanate from within. Because I will declare my intent to complete the marriage ceremony, she said. That changes everything. An attack on a royal wedding would be sacrilege. Ta-One stared at her in shock. Era, you can't sacrifice yourself like this. The engagement was an accident. Her multiple pupils fixed on him with intense focus. I believe in what you represent, Ta-One. Perhaps this accidental engagement wasn't such an accident after all. She took his hand, her skin warming against his. The old stories say that fate often works through seeming accidents, Maybe there is a reason you place your hand over your heart that night. Taiwan smiled. We call it thinking outside the box. When you've only been traveling between stars for a century, you learn to improvise. He activated the device, which emitted a soft hum. A barely visible ripple spread through the air around them. There, he said. Now we can speak freely, at least in this room. Over the next few days, they made more of these disruptors, placing them strategically throughout the areas where the Earth delegation worked and lived. Their collaboration became more comfortable as they worked toward a common goal. One afternoon, as they placed the last disruptor in the diplomatic meeting room, Era suggested a detour. "There's something I would like to show you," she said, leading him down corridors of the palace he hadn't yet seen. They emerged into an expansive garden unlike any Taiwan had encountered on Lumi. Instead of the geometric precision of other Lumi gardens, this one seemed almost wild. Crystalline plants grew alongside organic ones, creating a harmony between the two forms of life that had evolved on the planet. A small stream ran through the center, its water glowing with bioluminescent organisms. "This is beautiful," Taiwan said, genuinely impressed. "It's different from the other gardens." "I designed it myself," Era replied, her skin glowing with pride, soft purples and blues dancing across her surface. Traditional Lumi gardens follow strict patterns established centuries ago. I wanted something that reflected both our worlds. She led him to a small pavilion overlooking a pond. Above them, the dome was transparent, offering a clear view of the stars above. "I studied astronomy before my royal duties took precedence," she said, gesturing to the stars. "I've always wondered what lies beyond our star system, what other worlds look like, how other species live." Taiwan looked at her with new understanding. "Is that why you were chosen as our liaison? Because of your interest in other worlds?" "Partly," she admitted, though no one expected the liaison position to become more permanent. Her skin rippled with colors that Taiwan now recognized as embarrassment. "About that," he began cautiously, "I've been researching Lumi customs. Is there truly no way to undo the betrothal without causing offense?" Era's colors darkened slightly. "The ritual is considered binding because it's rare for it to happen by accident. The precise combination of accepting royal food and making the sacred gesture, most Lumi spend years considering such a step." Taiwan nodded thoughtfully. "On Earth, engagements can be broken, though it's often complicated. The complication here is political," Era explained. "My father sees this as an opportunity. The first human-Lumi union would solidify our alliance in a way no treaty could." They sat in silence for a moment, watching the strange fish-like creatures glide through the glowing pond. "Perhaps someday you could visit Earth," Taiwan suggested, surprising himself with how much he meant it. "Our skies are different, but the stars are just as beautiful." Era's skin brightened. "I would like that." Their moment of connection was interrupted by the urgent chirping of Taiwan's communicator. He answered to find Jun's concerned face on the screen. "Captain, you need to return immediately. There's been a security breach." 15 minutes later, Taiwan stared at the evidence laid out before him in the secure meeting room. Classified documents from the Earth delegation, trade proposals, defense capabilities, resource reports had been discovered in the possession of agents from the Vex Confederation, a rival empire known for their hostility toward Earth. "They were caught trying to leave the system," Jun explained. "The Lumi security forces intercepted them, but they're claiming the documents were provided by us. By you specifically, Captain." Era, who had joined them moments after, shook her head. "That's impossible. The Vex have been trying to sabotage Lumi's relations with other species for decades. The Lumi High Council is assembling to discuss the matter," Jum continued. "Some are already calling for the Earth delegation to be detained until an investigation is complete." Taiwan exchanged a look with Era. "This is connected to the surveillance. Someone is trying to frame Earth and destroy the Alliance." Era nodded, her skin now a determined deep blue. "We need to find out who, before both our peoples pay the price. Taiwan found himself repeatedly in the company of Princess Era, who seemed particularly interested in Earth culture. Her questions were insightful, focusing on art, governance, and family structures rather than technology or resources. "Your species shows remarkable adaptability," she observed as they stood near a window overlooking the planet below. "To have spread across your world despite its varied environments, and now to reach beyond to the stars. Necessity drove much of our innovation," Taiwan admitted. "But curiosity pushed us to the stars." The formal dinner began an hour later. The delegation was seated at a circular table with various Lumi dignitaries. Dishes of unfamiliar food were presented with elaborate ceremony. When a server placed a small bowl containing what looked like luminescent pearls before Taiwan, an elderly Lumi at his side leaned closer. "This is calavish, Captain, a rare delicacy reserved for honored guests. It is harvested only once every 9 cycles during the alignment of our moons." Sensing the importance of the moment, Taiwan nodded in appreciation. He carefully took one of the pearls and, following the example of the Lumi, placed it on his tongue. The flavor was unlike anything he had experienced, sweet yet complex, changing as it dissolved. "It is wonderful," he said truthfully. Wanting to show proper gratitude, he bowed his head slightly and placed his right hand over his heart, a gesture of thanks on earth. The room fell instantly silent. Every Lumi in the hall froze, their attention fixed on him. Princess Era, seated directly across from him, gasped audibly. Her iridescent skin flushed bright pink, the color spreading across her face and neck like watercolor on paper. The elderly Lumi beside Taiwan gripped his arm. "Captain," the royal interpreter whispered urgently, his translator barely able to keep up with his rapid speech, "you have just performed the sacred gesture of betrothal to Princess Era. In our culture, that hand motion, combined with the acceptance of royal food, constitutes a formal proposal of marriage." Taiwan's blood ran cold as he looked up to meet Princess Era's wide, shocked eyes across the table. Taiwan stood on the balcony of his guest quarters in the eastern wing of the Lumi Royal Palace. The 3 moons hung in the night sky, casting a silvery glow over the crystalline city below. He turned the small device in his hand, examining it carefully. It was no larger than a coin, but its purpose was clear. Someone had been listening to his private conversations. "4 more," said Princess Era, entering the room with a small container. Her skin rippled with darker blue patterns, a sign of concern Taiwan had learned to recognize over the past 2 weeks. "I found these in the meeting room where your team gathered yesterday." Taiwan took the container, examining the tiny surveillance devices, same design as the others. "Whoever is watching us has access to advanced Lumi technology." After discovering the first listening device hidden in his quarters 3 weeks ago, their formal, awkward interactions had transformed into a reluctant partnership. The accidental engagement remained in place. Neither could find a way to cancel it without causing diplomatic disaster. But now they had a more immediate problem to solve. "Someone doesn't want the Earth-Lumi alliance to succeed," Era said, seating herself at the edge of a crystalline table that glowed faintly in response to her presence. "These devices are military-grade, not available to ordinary citizens." Taiwan nodded, moving to the workstation he had set up in the corner of the room. Components from Earth technology lay scattered across its surface, alongside Lumi crystal circuits Era had provided. "I've been working on something," he said, picking up what looked like a small sphere constructed from parts of his communicator and pieces of Lumi technology. "It should create a field that will disrupt these devices without alerting whoever placed them." Era moved closer, her dual pupil eyes studying his work with fascination. "How did you determine the frequency to block?" "Trial and error, mostly," Taiwan admitted. "I tested different signals until I found one that made the devices stop transmitting." "Remarkable," Era said, her skin shifting to a lighter shade that indicated interest. "Lumi engineers would have followed established protocols, consulted historical records of similar problems, and applied tested solutions. It would have taken weeks and required approval from 3 different ministries." Humans solve problems differently than we do, she observed, touching the device gently with one slender finger. You don't rely on established methods.